Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be taking a look at how Trent Alexander-Arnold will fit in at Real Madrid. If you are new around here, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video. But anyway, let's get this party started. So Trent Alexander-Arnold for Real Madrid, quite simply, will slot in at right fullback, right wing back, or in central midfield. So let's take a look at the Real Madrid squad right now, with Dani Carvajal sort of approaching the latter part of his career, and Lucas Vazquez maybe being a player that needs to be improved. Trent Alexander-Arnold is instantly going to slot into the Real Madrid team, taking Carlo Ancelotti's 4-4-2 as the example to start our analysis. So quite frankly, the first thing that Trent Alexander-Arnold will bring to Real Madrid is that he is a true playmaker. When analysing that midfield lineup for Real Madrid, there is a bit of a lack of a playmaker since Toni Kroos retired. Of course, Luka Modric is deputised, playing games off the bench, also starting some others in that central midfield area, and ranks second amongst Real Madrid players for passes into the final third per 90. But of course, Luka Modric, the legendary playmaker, is starting to get to the end of his career, and Real Madrid need to take this next step. They need a true playmaker in that zone. And when looking at Real Madrid, you're looking at the likes of Camavinga or a Valverde or Tchouaméni. Not many of them are true playmakers. You think Valverde does his best work as a box-to-box midfielder, getting up and down, being destructive, winning the ball back and scoring goals. He's also played right back this season to good effect. But in terms of the other slot, that is where the hole is for me right now for Real Madrid. I think obviously Luka Modric has been a great servant, but one day will have to retire. So the future of that kind of second midfield slot either drops to Camavinga or Tchouaméni. I think Tchouaméni has kind of been good at breaking the play up as a bit of a ball-winning midfielder, and I don't think Camavinga's shown his best football yet at Real Madrid. I think there's a lot of potential for Camavinga, but I think right now, a playmaker in the ilk of Trent Alexander-Arnold could really improve Los Blancos. Trent Alexander-Arnold is probably the best progressor of the football in Europe from fullback. He ranks number 1 for progressive passes and passes into the final third. On top of that, just looking at his basic statistical profile, the big thing we know about Trent is he's very good on the overlap or on the underlap in terms of getting assists for his teammates. He ranks number 1 for right backs in Premier League history. So taking those ideas, Real Madrid lack a playmaker, Trent very much is a playmaker, where will he play for Real Madrid? So of course, we're looking at this 4-4-2 setup at the moment. In possession, Real Madrid, they like to move to a little bit of a different structure. Bellingham likes to kind of drive inside and move into number 10 after defending the wide flank. We see Vinicius and Mbappe tending to move to the right side. This does create a little bit of imbalance, but Real Madrid have looked very, very good with their setup at Carlo Ancelotti in certain phases, of course, winning the Champions League last season. But I think the big reason why Trent is going to be so good is because he's naturally going to balance the right side of the pitch. Rodrigo is a very good ball carrier, very good runner, and defensively works very, very hard. Other things that you need when you've got a player like Trent Alexander-Arnold in your squad. You need players that are capable of covering the fullback. When you look at Valverde and Rodrigo, they are two perfect players for Trent playing on the right side. So in terms of that balance, what you'd like to see from Trent, providing the width, providing passing quality, but he also could invert into that central area. So when looking at Real Madrid, of course, from a real sort of this season's tactics, with Bellingham moving inside, Vinicius holding the width wide left, Mbappe drifting over there, Rodrigo maybe moving into that central area, or alternatively, other way round, where Trent could actually invert, allowing him to get into kind of a number 10 position as very much an attacking inverted wingback. From those areas, we know how good Trent is at finding through balls, which could be great for Kylian Mbappe running in behind defences, but also those long switches out to create 1v1 situations for Vinicius Jr. So overall, Trent in this right back position would be really good for Real Madrid, but he could also do a job for me, either on the right hand side or in central midfield. Real Madrid's setup at the moment, let's move Bellingham back to the wing, let's move to the two striker system, Trent to right back and so forth. So moving Trent into that central area could be the next progression for his career. He's played at times for England and for Liverpool in that position. But I do think if you're going to move to that shape, you will have to move to a bit of a 4-3-3 structure, potentially with Valverde holding and Trent and Jude Bellingham in that central area with that front three, of course, of Rodrigo, Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. out wide. Real Madrid would have to potentially either go back into the market and recruit a player to play right back, Or alternatively, maybe you're looking at bringing in Asensio to that position, or Danny Carvajal or Eder Militao could very much play that role as almost like a centre-half. I think this team and setup would arguably be a little bit like Pep Guardiola's Centurions. That, of course, being the fullbacks either holding their positions deep or inverting into midfield. That's the 2-8s being really, really free and becoming the attacking midfielders in the side, and the width being held by Rodrigo and, of course, Vinicius Jr. or Kylian Mbappe on the left wing, dependent on the phase of play. This very much could work with Trent Alexander-Arnold. And I think one of the biggest things when looking at this kind of shape and structure, what I like about it is his relationship with Jude Bellingham. Looks like they've got a genuine friendship off the pitch, but I do think those two as a pairing would be really good. Trent operating almost as a Mazzala, and Bellingham operating very much as that goal scorer. Think about the damage that Trent could do in this system and setup, either from providing the underlapping threat we've looked at, or alternatively, if Rodrigo kind of narrows up, moves into that central position, Trent actually overlapping Rodrigo from central midfield and then getting the ball, back in that wide area to deliver it into the penalty area, I think would be really good for Real Madrid. But in terms of where we're looking at kind of next, where was the best Trent was when he was playing right back. And I think when you look at the midfield that Jurgen Klopp built at Liverpool, probably for Trent's best season was very much when he was playing right back. But he had a lot of workers in central midfield. We spoke about maybe lack of a playmaker for Real Madrid in that zone. But if they were to go to the kind of Jurgen Klopp model, the Jurgen Klopp 4-3-3 as we call it, drop Trent back to that right fullback position and throw in kind of maybe another runner or a holding midfielder in Tchouaméni, the shape that Real Madrid could move to is a kind of a 2-3-5 structure. That being both Rodrigo and Mbappe narrowing, getting closer to Kylian Mbappe, and Trent providing the width in the final third, creating this kind of 2-3-5 attacking structure. This is where Trent truly played his best football for me, as an overlapping wing back in the final third, simply slinging crosses into the box. When you think about the late runs from Jude Bellingham, as well as having that narrow front three, that is a lot of goals that Trent Alexander-Arnold could score for Real Madrid. Regardless of the shape and structure, Real Madrid will be playing with Trent Alexander-Arnold. He will be a true game changer with his long passing and his creativity. But let's talk about his weaknesses. Trent Alexander-Arnold is a player that doesn't excel defensively. Sometimes he switches off when the ball is on the other flank when defending the penalty area, but also I think the big thing that we've come to understand with Trent is he struggles against dribblers. Trent Alexander-Arnold very much is a volume tackler. What I mean there is he makes a lot of actions, but does frequently get beaten. When we're looking at statistics, he ranks in the bottom 9% of fullbacks for tackle win rate versus dribblers, but his actions are quite good in terms of volume. He's tackling around 1.85 dribblers per game. So the volume is there, he probably just needs a little bit of help. When you look at the best Liverpool squad with Trent, he had a very strong right centre-back inside him that could come out and look to control that space with him, but also he had very much a workman-like midfielder. For me, this works for Real Madrid. Valverde is probably one of the best shuttlers in European football. He's very good at protecting fullbacks, but also covering them in that position. Having spent time playing right fullback this season as well, would allow Valverde, when Trent is kind of pushing up the pitch, to cover that area, but also double up. When you look at the best Trent Alexander-Arnold, it was when he was playing with Jordan Henderson at right central midfield. Jordan Henderson would very much double up on the dribbler and create a 2v1 for Trent to not be bypassed. And that's a big thing that Real Madrid could do. That's very much Valverde playing in a 4-3-3 and being that shuttler, getting out there, putting in the defensive work. But I also think Rodrigo's one of the best sort of players in that role in Europe as well, very much getting back and supporting the fullback and the midfielder. This would protect Trent, and I think that's the big thing. World class going forward, defensively, very much hit and miss, but if you can protect those weaknesses and maximise the strengths, Real Madrid will have one hell of an attacking player. And when you also think that they've been heavily linked with signing William Saliba, that could be the perfect right side for Real Madrid to have if you've got Saliba at centre-back, Trent, Valverde and Rodrigo dropping in. That makes a lot of sense for me. A lot of sense tactically. But now let's talk about the elephant in the room. That is Xabi Alonso. The reports heavily suggest that Alonso is going to take over Real Madrid in the summer. So we've got to talk about the back three structure and setup. Alonso, during his time at Leverkusen, has mainly played a 3-4-2-1. And here's where Trent would truly be elite. In terms of the fullbacks and wingbacks that Alonso has used, he likes one player being a flying winger and one fullback, almost being a bit of a complete wing-back that not only can invert inside, but also can provide quality in the final third. The wing-backs for Alonso are very much attacking weapons. And in terms of setup, you'd probably say Fran Garcia is probably the most like Jeremy Frimpong, where Trent would play the Grimaldo role. Grimaldo and Frimpong were so important for Leverkusen in an attacking sense. And I think the big thing with Grimaldo was how much he was involved in build-up and possession play. Going back to our point before, Trent could truly be a playmaking wing-back in that zone. When you're looking at their kind of build-up structure, out the back, Alonso basically built with a back four. You've got the left centre-back would move to a left-back position. Of course, the goalkeeper's involved, the two centre-backs split, and the left-back, Grimaldo, will be flipped to Trent Alexander-Arnold being the right-back in a deeper position. This not only will allow Real Madrid to build in a really good way, overloading the opponents with this, like 4-2-4 structure. Again, the depth of the team is held by one of the wing-backs and the centre-forward in Kylian Mbappe. This would allow Real Madrid to truly play out from the back, open up the opposition, work it to Trent, who could either look to hit the channel for maybe Kylian Mbappe, or find the ball into attacking midfield, or find the ball into central midfield. Trent would truly become a weapon in this wing-back position. Of course, from an offensive sense, when Alonso's Leverkusen get into the final third, very much both wing-backs are involved in that area. At times, you have some of the centre-backs, becoming kind of wide centre-backs in those areas and even overlapping the wing-back in the final third. But Trent very much would be the creator. Fran Garcia would be the last line winger type player, with Trent really operating in a zone where he can see the play and focus up. And I think that's another area where you could see rotation, not only between Jude Bellingham and Trent Alexander-Arnold for position, but also the rotation of Valverde and Trent, and potentially taking it even further and have rotation between Valverde and, of course, Jude Bellingham. That is a lot of rotation, which not only will allow Real Madrid to be more flexible, more fluid, but create more goal-scoring opportunities. I think the big thing with that as well, we speak about the defensive side as well, having a wide centre-back behind Trent, but also Valverde once again shuttling to protect him when the ball's lost, is absolutely perfect. Trent Alexander-Arnold has the potential to break records at Real Madrid. For fullbacks in the Premier League, he ranks number 1, number 2, and number 3 for best ever seasons in terms of assists for defenders. 13, 12, and 12. If he can get anywhere near those numbers for Real Madrid, he will be a shining light for Xabi Alonso's Los Blancos. I am really excited to see where Trent goes next. I once called him on a TV show potentially the greatest ever Premier League wingback. Now we're going to see him evolve at Real Madrid and even get even better under the coaching of Xabi Alonso. Grimaldo went from a really, really good wingback to one of the best in the world under the Spanish coach, and I see the same thing happening for Trent. In conclusion, Trent Alexander-Arnold to Real Madrid is a great move for both the player and the club. He'll provide that natural width on the right-hand side that Real have been kind of lacking over the last few seasons, but in terms of chance creation and quality, this guy is elite level, allowing Real Madrid to get into the final third and Trent being a true playmaker in that zone. Under Xabi Alonso, we're going to see the player get better and better, and the system and the players around him could really help out Trent's defending. I'm talking Fede Valverde could be the best player Trent's played with since playing with Jordan Henderson at Liverpool, allowing Trent to do what he does best, getting on the ball, progressing the play, creating chances, putting crosses into the box for Real Madrid's forwards. Trent truly has the potential to take over those kind of playmaking boots of Toni Kroos and Luka Modric. But anyway, guys, get into the comments below. What do you think of Trent Alexander-Arnold's move to Real Madrid? I've been Statman Dave. Of course, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?